My wife used to love clinging to me like a little backpack, but ever since I used my startup funds to buy something for her mother, she's felt indebted to me. She became extremely compliant, so when her career flourished, she wanted to take the lead in the relationship. Little did she know that this mentality would bring about one conflict after another. Eventually, we reached the point of divorce, and she completely regretted it when she actually stood in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. But before she could say anything, they were caught up in a crime of passion where the original wife ran over the cheating man with her car. We were also affected. In that moment of crisis, I instinctively pushed her away. Before the fallen wife could get up, I saw a shocking scene. I was already lying in a pool of blood. Ever since she lost me that day, it seemed like everything had lost its meaning. What career? What love? The person who accompanied her from campus to the halls of marriage, the person who would give everything for her, had already gone far away. She hated herself. A year after her husband's death, the depressed wife chose to commit suicide. When she opened her eyes, her wrist was as white as ever. There were no scars left from cutting her wrist. Could it be that she had gone back to the past? All the signs indicated this fact to Xia Qingyu. What about him? Xia Qingyu searched the living room and found the person she had been longing for sitting on the sofa. Just a few steps away, she stared blankly at the man in front of her. The joy of rebirth and the regrets of her past life all welled up in her heart and exploded. But my words pulled Xia Qingyu back to the cruel reality. Let's get a divorce. Take a look at the contents of the agreement. Make time tomorrow to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me. Xia Qingyu felt like she had fallen into an ice cave. Even if heaven had mercy and gave her a chance to start over, the relationship between her and me had already reached a precarious state. If there was no way to salvage it, this life would only repeat the same mistakes. The man she loved the most would become someone else's husband, using the love that should have belonged to her on another woman. Husband, let's not get a divorce, okay? Xia Qingyu said with tears in her eyes. Maybe it's been too long since I heard that title, but for a moment, I actually felt very unfamiliar with it. I looked up at Xia Qingyu. She was unbelievably beautiful in college, and was a renowned unattainable flower. Now she's even more beautiful, but I no longer have that feeling of excitement. I'm tired. Let me go. And let you go too. Xia Qingyu, you're not the girl you used to be anymore. And I've also lost myself in this marriage. These words seemed to turn into knives, cutting back and forth in Xia Qingyu's heart. It's because I didn't fulfill my duties as a wife. Husband, give me another chance. I will definitely be a good wife in the future and love you with the rest of my life. I don't understand. Why is my wife, who is usually cold and frosty, shedding tears when I propose a divorce? Does she really care? Maybe it's a case of only appreciating something after it's lost, or maybe she's afraid I'm after her company. What's the point? Whether you sign or not, this divorce is going to happen. For the sake of the past, let's part ways amicably. After I finished speaking, I left the agreement and went back to the study alone. Leaving Xia Qingyu in the living room, she acknowledged that every word her husband said was true. It was she who had chilled her lover's heart. No matter what the cost, she had to earn my forgiveness. She didn't want to experience the feeling of losing me again. In the bathroom, I stood under the shower, letting the warm water wash over me. The outcome of tonight's showdown far exceeded my expectations. If it was the wife I had when we first got married, I could confidently guarantee that she loved me. But as the company grew bigger and bigger, the gap between the two of us also grew larger. She was no longer as gentle as before, and the originally happy life was messed up by her carelessness. Is there still love between the two of us? I lay down to sleep, but there was a knock on the door. Xia Qingyu's heart was full of bitterness. Once love starts to be a game, there are no winners. In the end, she and her husband had already reached the point of sleeping in separate rooms, even having to knock on each other's doors to enter the other's room. I opened the door. What's the matter? Husband, come back to the master bedroom to sleep. I've already made the bed. There was tenderness in her cold voice. If I remember correctly, you were the one who said you wanted to sleep in separate rooms. We've been sleeping apart for so long. I'm already used to sleeping alone. You should still think about what I said tonight. The door closed. Xia Qingyu knew it wouldn't be that easy to warm the heart of her husband that she had broken, but she couldn't help but feel lost. Still displayed was a wedding photo, decorated with a photo frame. Xia Qingyu picked it up and carefully looked at it, involuntarily using her fingertips to stroke her husband's face. Husband, I miss you. Overnight, Xia Qingyu was thinking about how to make me change my mind. After all, the time left for her was already running out. One day, I arrived at the company. A moving sound rang out. Boss. Good morning. Assistant Chan Qingqing was hired at the very beginning of this small company. At that time, she had just graduated and can be considered someone I personally cultivated. I recalled faintly. She has been with me for so long. Naturally, knowing I'm not in a good mood, she made a cup of tea and presented it. Clearly, product sales have been steadily rising recently. What is she looking at again? While I was drinking tea, she secretly glanced at my face and then quietly withdrew her gaze. Putting down the teacup, I started working. The company has a lot of things going on recently. I was so busy that I couldn't finish by noon. It's lunchtime. Health is the capital of revolution, Chan Qingqing said while arranging the colorful and fragrant dishes. Have you eaten? Of course. Otherwise, how could I immediately serve the boss? When she said this, a noble and aloof figure walked into the office. Xia Qingyu had clearly rushed over from the company. She was wearing professional attire, still carrying the majesty of someone in a high position, and holding an exquisite lunchbox in her hand. The purpose of this trip is self-evident. The office fell into a moment of silence. I didn't expect Xia Qingyu to come. And Xia Qingyu, watching Chan Qingqing help me set up the meal, had a sense of unease from being replaced. Coupled with that rather ambiguous sentence, a sense of crisis arose. You can go rest first, I said to Chan Qingqing. Okay. Chan Qingqing didn't expect that a casual remark of hers would be seen by the boss's wife. Now it will be difficult to explain clearly. Will they quarrel because of this? Only the husband and wife were left in the office. Xia Qingyu was silent for a moment and said softly, Husband, I brought you lunch. Quick, try it and see if it suits your taste. As soon as she spoke, the majesty on her body dissipated. She changed from a female president to a considerate wife. Seeing her husband get up from his office chair, showing signs of wanting to eat, Xia Qingyu felt happy, but she was soon disappointed. 2 lunches were placed on the table. I chose the other one. Why do I suddenly not want to get a divorce? Are you worried about the division of property? Husband, I never thought about divorcing you. Is that so? There wasn't the slightest sincerity in those 2 words. I remember that the marital problems were precisely because of the gap between money and status. Now, his wife has changed her indifferent attitude, as if returning to the first love. If it's not because of money, then what is it because of? Xia Qingyu wanted to say something but stopped. But she found that there was no way to refute it. In the previous conflicts and quarrels, she did have selfish intentions, wanting me to give in to her. That led to today's situation. Husband, whether you believe it or not, I never thought about divorcing you. Over the years, there has only been you in my heart. What requirements do you have, or what compensation do you want? You can ask. As long as I can do it, I won't refuse. Facing his wife's softening, I was indifferent, not even giving her the most basic opportunity, and continued eating lunch. The feeling of being like strangers, as if salt was sprinkled on the wound, caused her to feel real piercing pain. She remembered the sweet scenes when they first got married. The dining table was never cold. You speak one sentence and I speak another, sharing what happened today. We wouldn't feel bored. Occasionally, I would even add food to her plate. How pleasant and wonderful. But now, it has become a case of not being able to agree on even half a sentence. Xia Qingyu knew that words could only be used to express attitude. To win back the heart of the person next to her, she still had to rely on actions. Watching me finish lunch, Xia Qingyu had no choice but to leave. Staying too long would only make her husband more and more annoyed with her. Husband, don't work too hard. You should rest when it's time to rest. Your health is important. President, back to the company or? The female driver asked cautiously. Go to the shopping center. Xia Qingyu looked out the window. Today is their wedding anniversary. She wanted to personally prepare some gifts. Xia Qingyu personally bought everything for me from head to toe. Clothes, tie, leather shoes, expensive watches, and even luxury cars. Clearly, she was spending money for me, but Xia Qingyu felt even happier than spending money on herself. The phone rang, but it wasn't the call she was hoping for. Qingyu, are you free recently? Would you be interested in accompanying me to experience the resort business under my name? A very pleasant voice came from the other end of the phone. They met during a collaboration. They clicked and slowly became friends with a pretty good relationship. But now Xia Qingyu just wants to be by her husband's side and apologize. I have something important to do during this time, so I won't go. Xia Qingyu suddenly thought that this charming woman might understand men better. Wanji, you say, how can I win back a man's heart? Shin Wanji didn't expect Xia Qingyu to have such troubles. Logically speaking, possessing such a stunning wife, the husband should cherish her in every possible way. Could it be that the iceberg is too cold? Shin Wanji began to use her pitifully small amount of experience. Xia Qingyu missed one thing. She thought Shin Wanji, this noble and charming woman, had many pursuers. Actually, Shin Wanji has only liked one person, even more innocent than her. Qingyu, swallow your pride and fulfill the obligations of a wife. Maybe she'll feel your gentleness and change her mind. Shin Wanji's words awakened Xia Qingyu. Desperate times call for desperate measures. If she doesn't return to the master bedroom, then I can sleep in the guest bedroom. It doesn't matter if it's embarrassing. Wait until my husband falls asleep, then quietly use the spare key to open the door. The two female CEOs probably chatted for half an hour. Before hanging up, Shin Wanji couldn't be happy. Having the opportunity to win back the heart of a loved one is truly a luxury. She, on the other hand, hates herself. Or has she already forgotten about me? Shin Wanji is both afraid that person hates her and afraid that person has forgotten her. Either way is punishment. The sun sets in the west. I returned home and upon entering, I saw a different scene than usual. A sumptuous meal was set on the table. Xia Qingyu was waiting for me to return, as if we were newlyweds. Husband, you're tired after a long day. Let's eat first. She walked over gently, wanting to help me take off my suit jacket, but unfortunately, compared to the habits built up over time, she was still too slow. I took it off effortlessly. Just a matter of seconds. Xia Qingyu didn't know where to start, but she wasn't discouraged. Dinner time is the only time the couple meets since they started sleeping in separate rooms. Since they don't even sleep in the same room, communication naturally decreases. Today is our wedding anniversary. I remember, but with the relationship in this state, there's no need to commemorate anything. Xia Qingyu also remembers. She doesn't dare to mention it. This marriage has become what it is today. She is definitely the biggest culprit. The term, wedding anniversary, coming from her mouth seems like a cold joke. I put all my attention on the fragrant food. The nanny's cooking skills have improved a lot. A female CEO doesn't have such good skills, nor is it necessary, so I eat without any psychological burden. Husband, I bought you some gifts. Do you like them? Her voice was too soft. The keys to a nice car were placed on the table, along with an expensive watch in an exquisite box. They were all very expensive. I only glanced at them and turned my attention back to the food. No need to waste money. How is the divorce coming along? The calm tone pierced Xia Qingyu's heart like needles. She remained silent, deliberately ignoring the topic. It's not a waste for a wife to spend money on her husband. What's mine is yours. Back then, husband, didn't you spend all your savings on me? I put down my chopsticks. So you still remember the past. Sometimes I wonder if you've forgotten. A melodious ringtone saved the speechless Xia Qingyu, giving the atmosphere that had dropped to freezing a moment to breathe. I saw it was my mother's call and immediately answered. Mom, didn't you have dinner yet? Is that why you're calling? She's probably calling to urge me to have children. I've talked to my father about the divorce, but I haven't told my mother. She would definitely worry herself sleepless. The clueless mom was still urging us to have a child. Before we even chatted for 2 sentences, she veered towards grandchildren. Does Xia Qingyu's stomach show any signs of movement? Mom, we have plans. Just enjoy your retirement. Don't worry so much. She's busy with work and I'm busy with work too. I used a classic excuse. Facing her son who hadn't finished speaking, Fong Lan lost patience. Give the phone to me. Xia Qingyu went to take a shower and can't answer the phone. Xia Qingyu was disappointed when she heard these words. It seems she has already lost. As a wife, I don't think I did anything wrong. Rights and obligations are inherently complementary. Xia Qingyu refused when I suggested having children. We clearly agreed on it before we got married. If she had agreed, that child would be calling us mom and dad eventually. With father's interference in our friendship, this phone call was able to end. What did mom say? Nothing. I used the excuse of having dinner and studying, leaving Xia Qingyu alone. She had no appetite. Half an hour later, Xia Qingyu's phone rang. Feng Lan was also gauging the time to call. Mom, how's your health lately? I'm doing well. Xiaoyu, it's not that mom is being nosy. It's not good to have children too late. You're already 27. If you delay it for a few more years, the risk of childbirth will be much higher. Yes, Mom, you're right. I'll discuss this with my husband later. Hearing her daughter-in-law say that, Feng Lan's worries were relieved. She chatted for a few words and then hung up, so as not to disturb the couple. Indeed, it was time for herself and her husband to have a child. The idea was beautiful, but it was full of difficulties in reality. She took her change of clothes and walked into the bathroom. The steam and clouds covered the infinite beauty. Xia Qingyu couldn't help but think of Chan Qingqing, whom she had seen in the office. Her appearance and figure were not as good as hers, but she had a kind of lively temperament. This kind of person is rare. She has worked all day, and when you look up, she appears in front of you. After talking with her once, you can relax a lot. Xia Qingyu's sense of crisis suddenly arose. Her intuition told her that assistant's thoughts were not very pure and that she had some feelings for her husband, someone who has experienced loss and recovery. The feeling of danger will be infinitely magnified. A plan suddenly appeared in her mind. She would go to bed early after swimming. I turned off the lights and went to sleep. In a daze, I heard the sound of the doorknob turning. A hesitant footstep came in. Xia Qingyu slowly walked over, got into bed, and hugged me from behind. A feeling of security arose spontaneously. Letting go, I, who was half asleep, immediately woke up. A soft and warm suburb was close to me. I knew the person was Xia Qingyu. I thought the other person's aloof happiness would naturally leave me alone if I ignored her, but I didn't expect her to be so proactive. Since her husband didn't want to go back to the master bedroom to sleep, then I'll sleep with you. Xia Qingyu wanted to say a few more words, but the jade-like arms she put around her husband's waist were moved away. Her arms became empty. If you're not sleeping in the master bedroom, I'm going. Don't follow me. Thanks to you, I've long been used to sleeping alone. I can't sleep with you here. I got up and got out of bed. Soon, only Xia Qingyu was left in the bedroom. She was a little disappointed. Rome wasn't built in a day. It would be too optimistic to simply try to win back her husband's heart. This was also within her plan. Even so, hearing the words of disgust, her disappointment followed fiercely. Xia Qingyu couldn't help but think that her husband might have been more uncomfortable when she wanted to sleep in separate rooms. I'm sorry. Xia Qingyu hugged the quilt that still had her husband's scent, recalling the brief moment of being wronged just now. She felt that she was the stupidest woman in the world, ruining a good marriage with her own hands, turning it into a frozen and fragmented thing, and deeply hurting her husband's heart. Why make someone who loves her feel so rotten? Sometimes the rescue in love is a loss. The awake can refuse, but the sleeping cannot. Hasn't she already reported it? Insomniac Xia Qingyu relies on the remaining scent of me to slowly enter a dream. It's making the same dream. I still couldn't escape fate and fell into a pool of blood. Even if the phone falls on me, my biology also hints at telling me to wake up. After washing up, I returned to put on formal wear. Xia Qingyu woke up even earlier than me. Last night's conflict seemed to have never happened. Husband, did you sleep well last night? I have already prepared your clothes for you. A set of formal wear was placed by the bed. I'm independent. I do it myself. I have enough food and clothing. There were some new clothes in the closet. I skillfully found the usual few sets. Xia Qingyu could only watch my movements. She was too lazy to even answer, so how could she let her tie a tie for me? Shaking off the newly married amorous feelings. She used to tie my tie by hand every day, and then I would reward her with a kiss. A careless mistake would delay the morning time. Later, Xia Qingyu gradually became busy. The gap in wealth and status grew wider and wider. This wife of hers became cold and unthinking of the past. Using various means, she wanted to become the leader in this marriage. Now she wants to exercise the rights of a wife. Arrogantly ignoring me, husband, if you think I don't want a divorce because of property division issues, I can transfer all the company's shares to your name. I am also a businesswoman. Understanding how much wealth this represents, yet her hand unsteadily adjusted her cuff. Those are yours. It has nothing to do with me. If you really mean it, just sign the divorce agreement from last time. Xia Qingyu would never agree. I just got to the office. Good morning, boss. Chun Qingqing always seemed so lively. Having escaped a disaster, she worked even harder. Little did she know, the real trouble was yet to come. When getting off work in the evening, a luxurious car slowly stopped beside her. The window rolled down and Chun Qingqing knew she was done for. Inside the coffee shop, Xia Qingyu sat face to face with her. She didn't show any fear on the surface. Looking at the other person, she felt a little relieved. Although she liked the boss, it seemed that she hadn't done anything out of line. Don't be afraid. Liking someone is not against the law. After a long time, Xia Qingyu spoke. Want to change jobs? Chun Qingqing made an offer to this unbelievably beautiful woman. The company she mentioned was well known, the position was managerial, and the salary went without saying. Chun Qingqing was tempted, but only slightly. Sorry, I don't have any plans to change jobs for the time being. Is the money not enough? Xia Qingyu took a sip of coffee, but coughed lightly twice. It seemed she had caught a cold last night. Actually, you don't need to be so hostile towards me. That sentence you heard in the office last time was purely a misunderstanding. There's nothing else. I'll take my leave. Chun Qingqing left calmly, but her heart was beating fast. She experienced the pressure from the main wife for the first time. Chun Qingqing was still guilty. Who told her to really like my husband? Xia Qingyu in the coffee shop sighed slightly. It seemed that the other party had somewhat developed feelings for her husband. Otherwise, with such conditions, how could she not be able to poach an assistant? Let's go home first. I miss him. At night, in the dead of night, I slept quite soundly. The door of the room was opened again. A beautiful and exquisite figure appeared. It was Xia Qingyu. This time I did not reject the hug. A sleeping person cannot refuse. She gently stroked her husband's face. Her eyes were full of tenderness and love, but Xia Qingyu wasn't satisfied. She slowly moved closer. So close that their noses were almost touching. A soft kiss landed, and time seemed to be flowing backward. Examining him closely, she couldn't get enough of looking at him. She wanted to see herself the first thing she saw when she woke up. If she was caught stealing a kiss by her husband, she wouldn't be able to avoid punishment. Now that she thought about it, it was truly like glue. She wanted to hug him tighter, but she didn't dare to act rashly. Close yet distant. Husband, love me one more time, okay? If you don't speak, I'll take it as you've agreed. Xia Qingyu murmured to herself, using self-deception to seek comfort. The night was deep and people were tired. The one she loved was by her side. Xia Qingyu unconsciously relaxed and fell into a dream. This time, she no longer had the nightmare of me lying in a pool of blood. Instead, she was trapped in a raging fire. So uncomfortable. I woke up on time in the early morning. Looking closely, there was an extra person in my arms. Beautiful as she was, my thoughts were a little confused, dampened by sweat. It was the changing of seasons, and the flu was going around. Xia Qingyu had already been coughing a little yesterday, but she didn't take it to heart. During the day, she was busy with work, and at night, she had to find a way to make her husband change his mind. Going back and forth, combined with mental and physical exhaustion, she had a fever. I frowned. She held on to me, not letting go. I could feel it even through the clothes, the scorching temperature of her slender body. My palm went to her fair forehead, and it was scalding. Wake up. Xia Qingyu was awakened, her bright eyes glistening with tears. There was still a flush of red at the corner of her eye. Husband, I feel so uncomfortable. The sick Xia Qingyu was weak and obedient, completely different from her usual ice-cold goddess persona. I leaned over. Get up. I'll take you to the hospital. Xia Qingyu's remaining sanity told her that she absolutely couldn't. Her plan hadn't even started, and she was already sick. The intense discomfort brought on by the fever made her crave my embrace. No need to go to the hospital. Call the private doctor. My phone doesn't have many numbers, but soon a professional and capable female doctor arrived with her medical kit and other items. After completing a series of procedures, she prescribed medicine. She explained the precautions for taking the medicine, and then the female doctor said goodbye. I went to see her off. After being gone for a short while, Xia Qingyu, who was in bed, thought I would just leave her like that and go to work. People who are sick are more vulnerable than usual, both physically and mentally, and they are uneasy. They are suspicious and have many concerns. What are you going to do? I returned to the bedroom, but I saw Xia Qingyu lifting the quilt, about to get out of bed. Lie down properly. My tone was commanding, without any tenderness or pity. Husband, can you not go to work today and stay home with me? Xia Qingyu's appearance at this moment carried a kind of beauty that made people unable to resist loving her. I realized she was really delirious. Today is the weekend. If she doesn't rest, who will? Husband, how about we don't get divorced? After Xia Qingyu lay down, I threw the empty medicine packaging into the trash can. I didn't answer this question. The year we got married, Xia Qingyu also had a fever. At that time she leaned in my arms, saying we should always be together, always love each other. But after she gained power, that gentle wife seemed like a different person. Therefore, I'm immune. The medicine started to take effect. Xia Qingyu only felt very sleepy. She really wanted to sleep. She stubbornly waited for her husband's reply, but never received it. She fell asleep in a daze. Not knowing how long she had slept, Xia Qingyu found herself covered in sweat. But her fever had subsided. She got up and looked around. Outside the window, the afterglow of the sunset shone. It was originally quite a beautiful scene, but in Xia Qingyu's eyes, it only highlighted her loneliness. My figure was nowhere to be seen. She was the only one in the bedroom. Husband, she tentatively called out. No one responded. That feeling was like being abandoned by the whole world. Fortunately, after a moment, the sound of footsteps gradually approaching could be heard. I brought a bowl of meat porridge, urging the patient to finish drinking the porridge and taking the medicine, and, as usual, cleaned up the medicine packaging. Leaving with the bowl, the entire room returned to silence. When I returned from the bedroom's attached bathroom after washing up, I found that Xia Qingyu, who was originally in the bedroom, had followed me. She was lying on the headboard, covered in a quilt, afraid that I would leave her alone tonight. Even the previous few nights before she got sick, she couldn't resist missing her husband. Not to mention now that she's sick and needs to rely on me even more. Husband, the doctor said there's a possibility of a recurring fever tonight. Can we sleep together tonight? I don't argue with a sick person, and dry my hair with a towel. Seeing that her husband didn't deny it, Xia Qingyu relaxed. Suddenly, the ringtone of her cell phone broke the couple's alone time. It was Shen Wanji. This moment, she was soaking in a hot spring at her own resort. Qingyu, how is the emotional problem being handled? Xia Qingyu looked at me and saw that my attention was focused on the laptop before she said, it's progressing somewhat unexpectedly. Why does your voice sound so weak? Are you sick? Shen Wanji was silent for a while. Combining all the clues, it's no wonder she was so reserved. Her lover is probably by her side. No need to say more. Then you should rest well. The feeling of losing a loved one is too painful. She had experienced it long ago. These years, she wanted to go find that person, but she was afraid of her resentful eyes. Moreover, Shen Wanji couldn't forgive herself either. Love is a lifetime filled with hateful sighs that disappear with the wind. I closed my laptop, turned off the lights, and went to bed. I fell asleep with my back to Xia Qingyu. This scene doesn't look like a couple at all. Husband, Mom called yesterday and urged us to have a child. Xia Qingyu hugged her husband from behind, feeling the security brought by my broad back. The closer she got, the more she regretted the decision to sleep in separate rooms. There were many nights when she missed me, but she couldn't let go of her pride to reconcile. Over time, quantity turned into quality, and the relationship fell apart. I don't want to talk about this topic anymore. When I wanted a child, I tried every means to coax me, but she wasn't willing. Xia Qingyu also knew. Having hurt herself too deeply, she muttered to herself, accepting the resentment emanating from her husband. Once I'm better, I'll start trying for a baby. How many do you want, darling? I'll have 2. Xia Qingyu hugged her husband, a thought stirring in her heart. Unfortunately, the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak. Although the fever has subsided, her whole body is limp, with not much strength. Husband, in a gentle call, carrying infinite tenderness, it's hard to imagine this coming from the mouth of an ice queen. I ignored her and closed my eyes to sleep. My wife's slender hands were very nimble. Restless, just skimming over clothes could bring a kind of indescribable sensation, setting fires everywhere. I think you're better now. Since that's the case, I turned around and grabbed Xia Qingyu's legs, facing her frankly. Husband and wife sharing a bed is only natural. I don't want to go back, nor can I leave you. Weren't you the one who wanted to sleep in separate rooms? Now you're talking sense. It was my fault. My hot breath inadvertently scattered on Xia Qingyu's delicate earlobe, causing a shiver. Husband, if you're uncomfortable, I can help you. No need. Being rejected from fulfilling marital duties, Xia Qingyu felt an indescribable sense of loss, but she understood. Back then, when she wanted to sleep in separate rooms, wasn't that a blow to her husband's self-esteem? It's okay, once I'm better, I'll be more proactive. I didn't speak, and the room became completely silent. Xia Qingyu wasn't feeling well, and soon fell into a drowsy sleep, and with her loved one by her side, she slept more soundly. When the night was at its deepest at 3 in the morning, the high fever made a comeback. Xia Qingyu called out to me in a hazy stupor, "Husband," quickly woke up, feeling the body pressed tightly against my back, burning hot. I quickly got up and turned on the light. "Here, take your medicine." The person in my arms relying on her remaining consciousness did as she was told, but choked while drinking the water. I gently patted her back to help her. "If the temperature doesn't come down after a while, we'll have to drive to the hospital emergency room. I'll get you a wet towel." Wait, before I could even get up, my wife hugged me. "Husband, don't go anywhere. Just stay by my side. I don't want to lose you again." The mumbled words held hidden secrets, but why would I delve into what someone with a fever was saying? Xia Qingyu wouldn't let go, as if she were holding on to her whole world. This moment, only I could give her spiritual support and a sense of security. I allowed the burning body to cling to me tightly. This clinging Xia Qingyu seemed to only exist long, long ago. Maybe once she gets better, she'll go back to how she was. "Husband," she called out intermittently, and finally, an hour later, the high fever subsided. I breathed a sigh of relief. I slowly laid the sleeping Xia Qingyu down and tucked her in. In the morning, Xia Qingyu was the first to wake up. I didn't know when I had turned over and was now facing her, so the first thing she saw was her husband's face. A sense of happiness arose in her heart, wanting to reach out and touch him, but afraid of waking her beloved. Xia Qingyu remembered the events of last night vaguely, and the more she thought about them, the more Xia Qingyu felt how wrong she had been in the past. Husband and wife are each other's closest people in the world, and should support each other, without superiority or inferiority, without dividing you and me. 9 o'clock. I also woke up, and after washing up, I brought a bowl of nutritious meat porridge. Xia Qingyu understood that her husband's thoughtfulness was for her as a patient, not as a wife. In the afternoon, she received a call from her younger brother, Xia Mubai. "Sister, Mom and Dad said they miss you. Are you coming home for dinner? I won't be back today. I'm feeling a bit unwell." Xia Mu was worried and asked his son, who had just returned home, to go over in half an hour with the driver. Xia Mubai arrived. "I was with the nanny, Auntie." Explaining dinner arrangements, the doorbell rang, and I went to open the door. My brother-in-law arrived, which I didn't expect if I were the calm type. Then Xia Mubai is the kind who holds a high position and is full of vigor. "Where's my sister?" Without brother-in-law Han, ever since gaining power, the Xia family has become not only snobbish, but it seems they've forgotten past kindnesses, or rather, kindness breeds resentment, unwilling to admit that desolate self of the past. They also look down on me now. "She's upstairs, had a fever yesterday." Xia Mubai entered and went upstairs, seeing Xia Qingyu already in bed, her face pale. Her complexion was much worse than before. He quickly walked over and asked, "Sis, are you feeling better? Should we go to the hospital again?" "No, the fever has gone down." Xia Mubai looked at the sickly Xia Qingyu, his heartache unable to vent, used to being high and mighty. He questioned me in an accusatory tone, "Is this how you take care of my sister?" I heard this. My face turned cold. A government official's son is throwing his weight around. Truly ungrateful, doesn't even know the etiquette of calling someone when entering a house. Wanting to point fingers at me, "You're not qualified." They say the hatred for killing one's father is irreconcilable. You're getting anxious, aren't you? Don't you look at what you've become now? Are you worthy of my sister? I think you should have Xia Qingyu, who is already in bed, sign the divorce agreement before you leave, and go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate. Hearing these words, Xia Qingyu's heart sank like a stone. She had tried so hard to fake a fever to stop her husband from mentioning this matter for the time being, but now it's directly developing towards the worst possible outcome. Sis, let's go home. Mom and Dad are also worried. Xia Mubai's tone was smug. The weights on the scales are all at home. Mubai, listen to me. Your brother-in-law is taking good care of me. I know you're worried about me. But you can't blame your brother-in-law. Xia Mubai's original smugness. What's going on? His sister's attitude has changed so much. Sis, why are you talking to him? We are family. Mubai, if I call Dingyi right now and scold him for no reason, we argue, who would you help? Xia Mubai's momentum plummeted. The answer was obvious. Xia Qingyu coughed lightly twice. Her voice relaxed a little. Apologize to your brother-in-law. Xia Mubai has been accustomed to being high and mighty all these years, only showing humility in front of his parents and his only sister. Asking me to bow to him, is he worthy? Sis, take care of your health. Xia Mubai left after saying this, after she returned home. It was family dinner time. Xia Mubai described the matter, focusing on the matter of me wanting a divorce, and Xia Qingyu protecting me after this speech. It's as if I was whipping Xia Qingyu. In their minds, they've long deluded themselves into believing my kindness was repaid by marrying their daughter. Now it seems, it's instead holding a grudge for past favors. Too unreasonable. Once Xia Mubai left, only the two of us were left in the house. I didn't want to talk, and turned to walk out the door. Xia Qingyu was afraid I would go get the divorce agreement. Ignoring the weakness brought on by her illness, she immediately got out of bed. At the moment I was about to walk out of the room, she hugged me from behind. Husband, don't be angry. I'll have Mubai apologize to you later. Or you can hit me, scold me, anything as long as you don't divorce me. Let go, a flat voice said, conveying no joy or sorrow. Xia Qingyu behind her, unable to see my expression, felt uneasy. Thousands of words became powerless. I'll call right now and have Mubai apologize to you. I felt the weight behind me lighten, and walked out of the bedroom silently. The sound of a phone conversation came from behind. About half an hour later, a message of apology with no sincerity. I glanced at it and swiped it away. In the master bedroom, Xia Qingyu, who had ended the call, didn't see her husband return for a long time. Anxious, she knew that her illness had not yet healed. Her husband wouldn't force her to sign now, or take it to court, but what about after she recovered? The most cruel thing in the world is to lose something and get it back only to lose it again. As if in hell, her heart was troubled with no one to tell. She had no choice but to call Shun Wanji. Shun Wanji on the other end of the phone was silent for a long time. Qingyu, marriage is about building a new family with the person you love. If you don't consider this new family, she is an only child. But the choices she faced back then were much crueler and harder to choose than Xia Qingyu's now. Let's not talk about this. I'm bored alone at the resort. I'll be back tomorrow. Are you feeling better? I'll come and see you, okay? After hanging up the phone, she actually quietly went to the attached bathroom to take a shower. When it was time for dinner, my figure finally appeared, still urging her to drink porridge and take medicine. But when I saw the pajamas on Xia Qingyu, I frowned. You took a shower? The usually ice-cold Xia Qingyu didn't dare to meet her husband's gaze. It's not advisable to shower right after a fever. After dinner, call your personal doctor to come over again immediately. The scene in sight suddenly turned into a cool beauty, already lying obediently in bed. Not daring to object to her husband's words, that capable female doctor came again before dark. After prescribing some medicine according to the situation and giving instructions, she left. Xia Qingyu looked at the medicine. Her beautiful face was a little dim, not because of the bitterness. After taking the medicine, it was not suitable to have children in a short period of time, but in the current situation, only pregnancy can keep her husband with responsibility. Night fell, and after taking a shower, I was busy in front of the laptop. Xia Qingyu took the thermos on the bedside table and poured me a glass of water. Her slender hands fell on my shoulders, wanting to massage me. Go back to bed. My mind was focused on the computer screen, so I refused my wife's service. Xia Qingyu's movements froze. Obedient and docile, She looked at the beautiful woman wallpaper on her husband's computer and began to doubt her charm for the first time. If a woman is a flower, then 27 years old should be the time when it blooms most beautifully. But now, she immediately remembered that after she took the initiative to tease him last night, although her husband suppressed it, his breathing became much hotter, which gave her a little psychological comfort. Night was deep. I went to bed. As soon as I lay down, a warm and jade-like delicate body came close, with a unique fragrance. Husband, a friend of mine is coming home tomorrow. Whatever. Perhaps it was that randomly pushed fashion female model wallpaper that aroused Xia Qingyu's competitive spirit as a wife. She actually got up, then leaned over and gently kissed my cheek. I had just closed my eyes ready to fall asleep when I felt the softest touch, and the teasing of blue silk brushing past my ear. What are you doing again? Xia Qingyu raised a very stunning smile. Under the faint light of the night lamp, it added a bit of dreaminess. It's nothing. It's just that it's been a long time since I kissed my husband. I couldn't help but ask. I suspect Xia Qingyu's brain is fried. Are these words really what this frosty wife of today can say? Xia Qingyu thought her husband would be distant, but unexpectedly, I turned around and touched her forehead. No fever. One action, but it brought unexpected surprise. Go to sleep quickly. You're not sleepy. I'm sleepy. I withdrew my hand, not planning to pay attention to her anymore. Before I could turn over, Xia Qingyu leaned on my broad chest. Those jade hands, like works of art, lingered and explored through the clothes. At least as a couple for many years, how could there be no understanding at all? She then kissed her husband's thin lips. The room after the wedding was full of ambiguity. Hot, but not the heat from a fever. It's another kind of heat. But I had a completely different mood. Originally today I was annoyed by Xia Mubai and wanted to vent on a patient. I always felt something was missing, but this patient seemed to have a confused mind and would take advantage if given a little chance. Constantly pushing her luck, I quickly pulled out my wife's fair hand, which was inside my clothes and carrying my body temperature. Decisively turning over, I took the initiative. One hand could grab her two snow-white wrists and then lift them over her head. Pressing them on the soft pillow, the two faced each other. Xia Qingyu's perfect figure at this moment was in full view. The exquisite curves rose and fell slightly with her breath, and her beautiful face was no longer pale. Blushing, she was particularly moving. Her mood was 7 parts anticipation and 3 parts nervousness. She didn't know if her sick body could fulfill her duties as a wife, but as long as her husband wanted it, she was willing. Xia Qingyu had all kinds of thoughts in her heart, and slowly closed her tender and watery eyes, posing as a young girl at his disposal. Unfortunately, the imagined storm did not come. If you keep making trouble, go sleep next door. When you have a fever or get sick, I'm too lazy to care about you. With a cold order, Xia Qingyu felt that the intense, invasive hot breath was moving away from her. Another day I'll have Mubai apologize to you in person. Xia Qingyu came up from behind, her whole being emitting an unusually irritated aura. She still has her charm. Her voice was gentle in my ear. Husband, let's not get divorced, okay? From today on, I will try to be the most perfect wife in your eyes. Try to imagine, even if we get divorced and find another woman to live with, she may not do better than me, husband. Give me one more chance, okay? I ignored her, pretending to be asleep. I know you won't agree because you're still hurt by the grievances of the past few years. It doesn't matter. I will prove it with my actions. Good night. Xia Qingyu wanted to give me a goodnight kiss, but she had just been warned 2 minutes ago, so she had to bury the idea in her heart. She had already kissed me today. While savoring that long-lost kiss, she unconsciously fell into a dream. In the dream, she and I were back when we first got married, as close as glue every day. Loving and sweet. The two sat on the sofa watching TV. The TV was playing a sweet and romantic drama, but it was not even half as sweet as this newlywed couple. I put my arm around her and kissed her perfect, flawless profile. Honey, should we have a baby? As soon as these words came out, Xia Qingyu instantly realized it was a dream. She wanted to immerse herself in it, but it was too late. The dream began to fall apart. In the early morning, I was putting on an undershirt. sorting out my cuffs while Xia Qingyu had already chosen my coat and tie. Her nimble, fair hands quickly helped her husband tie his tie. If she weren't afraid of being rejected, it wouldn't have been bad to give a kiss. I had no time to argue with her about these things. There was a problem with the supplier. At this moment, a private plane at the airport was slowly landing, and a noble and charming woman appeared. Xia Qingyu helped me to a bowl of millet porridge. The beautiful morning was accompanied by the aroma of millet porridge, a unique sense of family warmth. Born spontaneously, I ignored her the whole time, but Xia Qingyu felt that being able to eat breakfast plainly with her husband was also a kind of happiness. Only after experiencing life and death will one understand the preciousness of it. Unfortunately, the good times didn't last long before they were broken by the ringing of a cell phone. It was Wang Yun calling. "Xiaoyu, is your health any better?" The action of me drinking porridge paused. I inexplicably thought of Xia Mubai's apology text message. Wang Yun. An image of a rich man lying in a hospital bed flashed in my mind. When we first got married, she called me a good son-in-law all the time, but all of this started from the rise of the Xia family began to change. This time her precious son was forced to apologize to me. How could she bear it? I can say with 100% certainty, she won't bear it. While drinking porridge and thinking, the bowl gradually emptied. Xia Qingyu temporarily put down her phone and helped her husband to another bowl of millet porridge. "Hello. Where did Xiao Yuefeng go?" "Help Lu Yuan to a bowl of porridge." "Mom, keep talking." Wang Yun on the other end of the phone heard her daughter personally helping me to porridge, and a nameless fire burned in her heart. "Didn't you hire a nanny? Are her hands broken or her feet broken? It's better to get a divorce." If I knew what Wang Yun was thinking, I'm afraid I would laugh out loud. When bad people are stupid to a certain extent, they will also do good deeds. A luxury car drove this way. Shen Wanji called Xia Qingyu. What kind of man would make the cold and aloof Xia Qingyu care so much? After I finished breakfast, I prepared to go to the company. In the short distance from the living room to the door, Xia Qingyu took my arm. "What do you want to eat for lunch? I'll bring you food. You should stay at home honestly. It's just that I caught a cold from the rain and I have to take care of you." I have already changed gradually, becoming less connected with the gap in status and wealth. Xia Qingyu's friends are just strangers to me. And I never expected that the visitor was indeed a stranger, but the most familiar stranger. The car door opened, and a noble and enchanting figure came into view. But when she looked ahead, time seemed to stop flowing at this moment. Countless precious memories seemed like the last grand fireworks show they watched together. Some people, even if they are in a crowd of thousands the moment you brush past her, that still beating heart will tell you it's her, the former king. I had imagined countless scenes of meeting Shen Wanji. On a rainy day, on a sunny day, on a crowded street, in the most familiar old place. Unfortunately, all in vain. I was desperate. Many years later, fate brought the person I had waited for so hard to me in the most casual way. I used to be able to use a lot and a lot. Fate unexpectedly delivered the person I had once waited for so desperately right in front of me. I used to be able to a lot. The two once described with beautiful words, now look at each other like strangers, childhood sweethearts. First love, the first half of my life that I can choose not to recall, but also the most colorful years of my life. Blown open by Shen Wanji's shock, tossing and turning night after night. Husband. This is a very good friend of mine, Shen Wanji. This is my husband, Lu Yuan. Xia Qingyu introduced these two strangers to each other. The punishment Shen Wanji had avoided for so long finally arrived. Much more painful than imagined. You abandon someone who has been with you for so many years for unavoidable reasons. One day he becomes someone else's husband, and his wife personally introduces him to you. Shen Wanji was numb with pain. The person across from her nodded nonchalantly. You guys chat. I have company matters to attend to, so I'll excuse myself. I strode forward, brushed past Shen Wanji, went to the garage to get the car, and disappeared from their sight. Wanji. Xia Qingyu called out twice before Shen Wanji came back to her senses. You know each other? He saw many emotions in Shen Wanji's wandering beautiful eyes. Former classmates, we haven't been in contact for too long. I guess he's forgotten about me. The hardest lies to make up are the ones that are not entirely true. The classmate identity is real. I forgot about him is also real. Xia Qingyu's intuition told her that things were not that simple. But her husband was calm just now, as if he really saw an unfamiliar stranger. Couldn't find any faults. Just now, the two of you didn't seem to have any conflicts. Can't hide anything, the heart is stinging. But Xia Qingyu sighed softly. She just didn't hold it against me too much because I'm a patient. Wanji, what do you think I should do? The deadline is approaching. Xia Qingyu showed signs of grasping at straws. Shen Wanji put down her teacup. Can you tell me in detail? The water in the teacup swayed slightly. While listening to Xia Qingyu tell her love story, Shen Wanji's heart was far from calm. The female lead in this love story should have been her, but now she's just a supporting character. Not even a passerby. But when she heard, I risked all my wealth to save you. Hearing Xia Qingyu say in a regretful tone that she created all kinds of conflicts just to dominate this marriage. Hearing Xia Qingyu refuse to have children, sleep in separate rooms. While telling it lightly, there was more anger. How could she be willing to treat me like this? Looking back, she was never willing to let me suffer even the slightest grievance. Even if we take a step back, the kindness of a drop of water should be repaid with a spring, not asking to be inseparable in life and death. At least respect each other. They both deserve it. Xia Qingyu has come to this point today. Is just like herself, it's self-inflicted and no one to blame. At the same time, Shen Wanji was also blaming herself for running away all these years. If she had known she was doing so badly, why wait until today? Inside the car, I looked dejected. I changed my life trajectory for two women, but neither of them got a good outcome. One is Xia Qingyu, who gave up her entrepreneurial dream and has been wasting away until now. The other is her Shen Wanji. Childhood sweethearts who grew up together, agreed to go to the same university, but one day, the girl disappeared from the boy's life without a trace. After the big exam, the boy's results came out. He could have gone to a better university, but stubbornly stayed in the promised place waiting for her. The leaves on the trees turn green and then yellow, fall and grow again. Sometimes, the truth is right in front of you. It's not that people don't believe it, but they refuse to believe it. She didn't come back. In the days right after the separation, I dreamed of her every night. Would talk in my sleep, would call her name, but the other party didn't even give an explanation. Didn't even say goodbye. In the end, I was still foolishly going on trips. Who cares about the past promises? No one cares. Arriving at the supplier's company, Chun Qingqing felt that the boss was particularly gloomy today. The supplier sent news that they were going to raise prices. The company's newly expanded business, the funds have not all been returned. This created a significant funding gap all at once. Coming out of the other company, Chun Qingqing was driving the car, and I was sitting in the back row with a frown. Who should I borrow this money from? Xia Qingyu was the first person I ruled out. If I really spent her money all these years, I would blindly sign the divorce papers without thinking. I can only swallow my anger and light up my phone, scrolling through the app list. I could see that familiar icon at a glance. The first thing I said was to borrow money. The other party quickly replied with 3 words. How much? In this life, besides family and love, there is also friendship. I quoted a string of numbers and the other party said they could only offer half at most, and said the money couldn't be taken for nothing. We had to drink together. It's been a long time since we got together. Boss, are you looking for a place for dinner? Or should I take you home? Chun Qingqing was about to open up the topic again, but my next sentence left her at a loss. To your place. Me too. 2 things swirled in my mind, and I spoke without thinking. The original intention was to see that it was difficult to get a taxi during the evening rush hour, so I asked her to drive home. Said casually, but the listener took it to heart. Could it be that the boss had already discovered that he liked her? Some unspoken rules, the taboo of superiors and subordinates, sensitive words constantly appeared in Chun Qingqing's mind. Not to mention Chun Qingqing in her professional attire, although she can't compare to Xia Qingyu, that unattainable ice queen, but she can still score a 90. Beautiful, lively, and obedient. Fortunately, my attention wasn't on her. Otherwise, I would have noticed that Qingqing's ears were blushing. She really wanted to say that she wasn't that kind of person. Dating is possible, but only if you're divorced. Boss, this isn't good, right? I interrupted her. There's nothing wrong with it. Chan Qingqing steadied her mind and drove, planning to have it out with the boss after parking. She wasn't that kind of casual person, someone you could play around with and throw away. You can be with me, but only if you clear up your affairs first. Take a seat in the passenger seat. Half an hour later, we arrived in front of her rented apartment. The result was obvious. I asked her to get out of the driver's seat, and then I drove away, leaving Chan Qingqing messed up in the wind. So that's what the boss meant. People are always like this, looking forward to something coming, but also afraid that it won't come. Chan Qingqing was overwhelmed by the shame of being presumptuous, and a faint sense of loss. Her beautiful face was redder than the sunset. I bought a gift and went to my brother's house. My high school classmate Yang Cheng. I originally wanted our two families to arrange a marriage for our children, but your son hasn't even come yet. I drank wine and didn't speak. After so many years, we meet again, but we can never go back to the past. So let's not mention things from the past anymore. We drank from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Yang Cheng let out a drunken burp. It's too late. You're staying here tonight. You're not allowed to leave. My daughter and I live on the second floor. Don't worry about it being inconvenient. I never stand on ceremony with Yang Cheng. I nodded. The night was deep. Xia Qingyu, after taking a shower, sat on the sofa looking like she was waiting. After hesitating again and again, she still dialed my number, wanting to show concern for me. At this moment, a mechanical female voice made Xia Qingyu realize that during our Cold War, she would go back to her parents' house whenever she got angry. There would always be non-stop phone calls. At that time, she only felt annoyed. This moment, the roles are reversed. She finally understands what kind of anxious feeling the person on the other end of the phone had. Before the call could go through, Xia Qingyu was overwhelmed by immense guilt. In the long wait, Xia Qingyu finally heard the familiar busy tone. She was preparing her words. What would other people's wives say when their husbands don't come home at night? What time is it? I'm staying at a friend's house, not going back. That's it. I drank some wine, very sleepy. Xia Qingyu heard that the other side was about to hang up, and her tone became a little anxious. Husband, I can come pick you up. No need. A long tone, the call was hung up. I put the phone on the bedside table. Turning off the lights to go to sleep, Xia Qingyu got up and went upstairs. The bed in the bedroom still held some of her husband's scent. How much she longed for it. The development of events far exceeded her expectations. She originally thought that once she recovered from her illness, her husband would no longer be willing to share the same bed with her. Who knew he wouldn't even come home at all? A friend's house. These two words stacked together can't help but make people overthink. Friend, male friend, or female friend? Although, based on so many years of understanding, her husband would never cheat during the marriage, still not coming home can also show that my attitude here is already a house, not a home. Moreover, intuition told Xia Qingyu that Shen Wanji's relationship with her was not as simple as just classmates from back then. A strong sense of crisis, like a pile of dark clouds, pressed on Xia Qingyu's heart. She fell asleep groggily, but had a dream. In the dream, she and I divorced. Another woman soon appeared beside me, gentle and considerate. Our life was very happy, as sweet as honey, even cooking a meal we could flirt in the kitchen. At night, that woman was even more inseparable from me. We soon had the crystallization of love. Xia Qingyu woke up, sweat beads on her fair forehead, and muttered with lingering fear. Thankfully, it was a dream. The sky was still not bright. Xia Qingyu couldn't sleep anymore. Husband, please come back soon. Inside the detached villa, Shen Wanji picked up the phone and instructed the person on the other end to investigate some things. The moment I saw you, many things could no longer be consistent. She hasn't changed, overlapping faintly with the teenager in my memory. She has changed, becoming someone else's appearance. Once there was a pair of childhood sweethearts. They walked through the purest, most beautiful time of their lives together. The little girl was too pretty and cute, and boys always wanted to get her attention by bullying her. Whenever this happened, the little boy would stand up and protect her. All this beauty vanished with the shattering of the girl's family. Shen Wanji's parents argued fiercely. She could hear it even in her room. That night it was raining. She fled this family to find me. The two snuggled in the room. I said, "The rain will always stop. Don't be afraid, I will always be by your side." The girl gradually leaned on the boy's shoulder and fell asleep. The festival arrived, and the boy eagerly took the girl to see the fireworks display. The dazzling fireworks lit up the night sky. The girl seemed to forget her troubles for a moment, revealing a smile even more beautiful than the fireworks. I only realized many years later that that grand fireworks show was the last bloom of that decade-long childhood romance. The girl's parents decided to divorce. Shen Wanji's mother cried heartrendingly, hugging her and pleading, "Daughter, Mom can't live without you if she loses you. Come with Mom." Faced with her mother's constant pleas, she, as a daughter, couldn't possibly abandon her. But if she really left, all those promises she made to the boy would be in vain. Shen Wanji simply couldn't bring herself to tell me such a cruel truth. She chose the most shameless escape, cruelly failing the boy who said he would always be with her that rainy night. Her mother took her to stay with her aunt who had settled abroad after she became successful in her career. She also took the initiative to take over domestic business, but she didn't dare to look for me. Perhaps she couldn't forgive herself for betraying her promise back then. But fate still allowed these former childhood sweethearts to meet again, and gave Shen Wanji the harshest punishment. That boy who had accompanied her all the way, that boy whose heart was full of her, had already become someone else's husband. The two met but did not recognize each other. She wouldn't even say hello to him. Shen Wanji was drunk in the memories of the past, unwilling to wake up, but there was a trace of tears in the corner of her eyes. The next day I came to the company. Last night, Xia Qingyu had a dream that went against her subjective will. She dreamed that after I sent her home, I went up to her apartment with her, and as soon as we entered, I pinned her against the door for a while, a fierce unspoken rule in the dream. This gave Xia Qingyu a sense of self-shame. She was clearly rejecting unspoken rules, but she had such a dream. Doesn't that mean it's absolutely not like that? I'm not over-focusing on her. Since she joined the company, she started frowning again. I've borrowed half of the circulating funds. Who should I borrow the remaining half from? Xia Qingyu waited for a long time this morning. The clock didn't see her husband's figure, but nonetheless, her nimble hands were sorting out her thoughts. Go see her husband. Xia Qingyu, based on my understanding of you, I won't go home. And you wouldn't neglect your career. Zhongwu can use the excuse of delivering food to find me. I'm the kind of person who doesn't respond well to force. The things ordered last night were already organized into documents in the morning and sent to Shen Wanji. She read it carefully. There was a lot of content inside. Even my former startup team has been dug up. I'm racking my brains over the remaining half of the funds and have already asked a few acquaintances, relatively good friends. Xia Qingyu suspects that the company is really going bankrupt until Zhongwu pushes open the office door again. Boss, the front desk said there is a Miss Shen who wants to see you, saying she has something to discuss. I was silent. Last time we met, I pretended to be a stranger and left. Now the other party has come to my door. Seems that some things are ultimately unavoidable. Let her in. The moment Xia Qingyu saw Shen Wanji, even as a woman, she couldn't help but admire her. Now that I think about that presumptuous bowl of food, worrying about being taken advantage of by the boss was really unnecessary. She brought Shen Wanji to the office and left impolitely. For a moment, only I and Shen Wanji were left in this space. These former childhood sweethearts looked at each other in silence. Shen Wanji looked at the person in front of her. The sunny and handsome boy from back then had shed his youthful awkwardness and become a steady and profound man. Shen Wanji wanted to hug me like before, but the few steps between them became an insurmountable barrier. I don't know what my mood is. Perhaps I have no mood. The wound has already scabbed over. Miss Shen, what can I do for you? Miss Shen, these three short words gloss over many things. Shen Wanji's heart was filled with pain. I heard that you're short on money recently. I still have some here. It should be enough for you to get through this difficult time. Shen Wanji took out a card from her bag and gently placed it on the table. Yang Chen's wife, she was also there drinking that day. Take it back. I don't need you to worry. Your stubborn nature. You wouldn't borrow money from Yang Chen unless absolutely necessary. I interrupted her. I said, this is my business. You don't need to worry about it. And you can't control it. If you're here to make amends for what happened back then, then there's even less of a need. I don't hate you anymore. Shen Wanji deeply felt my resistance to her, and the past that could never be returned to. In the past, just a lollipop. Now she can no longer coax that person. Shen Wanji lowered her eyes, looking at the card on the table. I just want to help you, Lu Yuan. You can always not put on a brave face in front of me. Those ingrates at your new company look down on you. If you borrow money from Xia Qingyu, your situation will only be more difficult. Lu Yuan, success will make your life better. But in my opinion, she's giving you this money simply because she feels guilty about that relationship. If you really accept it, it's like selling that relationship. I've already been taught a lesson. Hard lesson by Xia Qingyu. I hate this kind of money that replaces feelings the most. I would rather take the car and mortgage the house for a loan. The office fell silent again because I had already stopped answering Shen Wanji. She knew that the boy was stubborn in some ways. Continuing to insist would only cause more resentment. Shen Wanji took the card back, leaving her contact information. If Xia Qingyu doesn't help you, remember to come to me. Don't be stubborn. Shen Wanji wanted to say we didn't agree to be each other's safe harbor. The words reached her lips, but she couldn't say them. She personally destroyed these oaths. She could only watch helplessly, because he is now someone else's husband. Xia Qingyu was busy all morning, dealing with the things that had piled up due to her illness, and ordered the food that her husband liked. She hurried to her destination. She missed him. At the same time, there were many questions swirling in her mind. Where exactly did her husband go last night? Chun Qingqing was dumbfounded. How did this person also come? What time did your boss arrive at the company this morning? Xia Qingyu asked. Facing Xia Qingyu, Shermoyu was a little nervous. Aren't you and your husband sleeping in the same bed? What time my own husband goes to work and I have to ask me, an outsider? Could it be the boss didn't go home last night, stayed out all night? In this instant, information overload, but the boss has been worried to death recently. Where would he have the mind for pleasure? Around 9 o'clock, she truthfully replied. Chun Qingqing felt the relationship was so messed up. You sighed again. Is that Miss Shun still in the office? Hasn't she left yet? The main character has arrived, boss. Good luck to you. Xia Qingyu walked to the office and pushed the door open. The first thing she saw wasn't her husband, but a charming and beautiful woman. Xia Qingyu immediately recognized who she was. She was slightly stunned. The doubt from yesterday. Her intuition turned into reality at this moment. If it was just guessing that their relationship was not simple before, then now she has miscalculated. Wanji, what are you doing here? It's been a long time since I've seen Lu Yuan. I came to catch up with him today, Shen Wanji said calmly and slowly. Xia Qingyu felt inexplicably disgusted by her calmness. That calmness made it seem like she was my wife. And I was just a stranger who barged in halfway. An even more absurd thought appeared in her mind. Last night, what friend was my husband talking about? Was it Shen Wanji's house? And he also drank alcohol. Shen Wanji also noticed the lunchbox in Xia Qingyu's hand. I won't disturb you any further. Enjoy your lunch. Two equally beautiful women brushing past each other. The pleasant sound of high heels gradually faded away, leaving only the couple behind. Shen Wanji just left like that. Xia Qingyu felt uneasy. That feeling was like, the thief is gone, but still thinking about it, I feel the same as Chun Qingqing. Xia Qingyu has been coming too frequently lately. Xia Qingyu really wanted to immediately get to the bottom of things. Ask what kind of relationship they have, but rashly moving forward will only make the marriage that is already on the edge of the cliff shatter into pieces. Xia Qingyu restrained her expression and placed the delicate wooden lunchbox on the coffee table. Honey, you've been busy all morning. It's time to eat. These are all your favorite dishes. I'm not hungry. I'm not in the mood to eat. He turned off the phone screen, not wanting Xia Qingyu to see that he was borrowing money everywhere. Such a small action made the wife behind him even more uneasy. Her husband is hiding something from her. When the time comes, he will have to eat eventually. It would be a greater loss if he ruined his health, honey. Didn't you say you wanted a child? If Chun Qingqing were here, she would definitely be shocked. Is this still that Ice Queen CEO? Even an iceberg will break. I understood for the first time what it's like to be desired, not to mention I realized early on that the body is the greatest asset, exercising regularly to take a step back. Speechless, she changed the subject as if admitting her mistake. Let's try the food first and see if you like it. As she spoke, she personally went to open the delicate lunchbox. At this time, one of the friends I asked for help called. I walked out of the office to answer. Before leaving, I left a sentence, "Eat it yourself." Xia Qingyu couldn't eat anything. A sense of powerlessness grew wildly in her heart like weeds. Her husband also doesn't come home, and may have some kind of connection with another woman, after her husband drank last night. Whose house did he stay at? And what is her relationship with Shen Wanji? The unclear and inexplicable atmosphere between them, where did it come from? All of this is deeply troubling her. About 10 minutes later I finished the call and raised some more funds. I wanted Chan Qingqing to prepare a lunch for me and send it to the office. Who knew? Chan Qingqing said bluntly. The boss's wife brought you food, so you don't need me, right? There seemed to be a bit of reluctance in her words. To face Xia Qingyu in the office, it seems that this phenomenon started since Xia Qingyu came to the company last time. I didn't make things difficult for her, and went straight back to the office, and said to my wife sitting on the sofa, "My assistant seems to be a little afraid of you." Xia Qingyu naturally wouldn't let her husband know that she was trying to poach his assistant, and moreover the target she needs to be wary of has already changed. Maybe she doesn't want to disturb the time we spend together as a couple. Honey, eat first. It will be cold later. I didn't give my wife a good look for her dodging the question. What needed to be said has been said. We are all adults. A word to the wise is enough. One wave has not subsided, another rises. I couldn't poach the little assistant. Her husband also had countless connections with a woman whose appearance was no less than her own, and whose background was far superior. Is it destined that what is lost will be lost even if you get a second chance? I didn't sit on the sofa. I went back to the office, thinking about how to get it. The last sum of money. Xia Qingyu saw that her husband's attention was completely not on her. A trace of dimness flashed in her eyes. A woman pleases herself. Today she will carefully select something. But she could never grasp her husband's attention. Now even the last resort is no longer working. The more Xia Qingyu thought about it, the more worried she became. I was thinking about who to borrow from. The last sum of money. Think of a way to get up. Xia Qingyu gently leaned up from behind. A pair of jade arms gently rubbed her husband's neck. I frowned. Don't get so close. I'm not used to it. Husband, have you forgotten those years when we just got married? How loving were we? You couldn't wait for me to go to the company at noon. Xia Qingyu mentioned this. A moving blush involuntarily appeared on her beautiful face. It's not that I forgot, but you forgot. Xia Qingyu, I called her by her name, allowing her to be immersed in beautiful memories. Xia Qingyu instantly woke up. Now her husband is too lazy to hug her, let alone sweet talk. My indifference made her sense of crisis double, but there was nothing she could do. Xia Qingyu sighed leisurely in her husband's ear. Where did you go last night? I can't ask. What is the relationship with Shen Wanji? I can't ask either. It's okay. If I can't ask my husband, I can ask Shen Wanji. Last night's absence can also be regarded as never happened. Husband, don't eat out tonight. Where is someone else's home as good as your own? Come back early. I'll wait for you at home. Xia Qingyu's voice was no longer cold, and she spoke softly. What's wrong? Now it's your turn to ask me to come home? You used to stay at your parents' house for a month or two. It's only been one day since I didn't go home. It's far from it. It's my fault. Now Xia Qingyu can only obediently admit her mistake and dare not refute. Xia Qingyu saw that her husband was impatient. Ready to get up, she took the opportunity to kiss my angular face, making this loving gesture between husband and wife. She felt a little comforted in her heart. Husband, remember to come home tonight. I'm waiting for you at home. Xia Qingyu repeated it before leaving. After Shen Wanji and Xia Qingyu left, a lively and light voice came in. Boss, are you okay? What could happen to me? In Chen Qingqing's imagination, a Shura field would be staged in the office. Swords, shadows, and bloodshed. Although that Miss Shen's temperament and appearance are not inferior to the boss's wife. After all, she is not the official wife. As soon as Miss Shen leaves, the boss has to accept the official wife's verbal and behavioral torture. The fact seems not to be the case. Her boss is still leisurely, but the two who went out earlier. With a sad face, as soon as Xia Qingyu returned to the car, she called Shen Wanji. It was quickly answered. I have something I want to talk to you about. Do you have time? She got straight to the point. Tomorrow I'm not free in the afternoon. Xun Wanji replied, without even asking what she wanted to talk about. Both parties knew it clearly. Okay, there was no greeting between friends, and she hung up simply and neatly. Xun Wanji put down her phone. At this moment, she also returned to her company building. She was not surprised by Xia Qingyu's call. Meet if you want to meet. Talk if you want to talk. Those years with me were not something that couldn't be seen. She pondered for a while and picked up the information on the listed group on the table. Some things require a price to be paid. Yuan doesn't bother with them. I'll play by myself. After a busy day, maybe I didn't drink enough last night. Yang Cheng's phone calls urged again and again. My car did not drive in the direction of home. In the evening, Xia Qingyu's long-lost index finger touched spring water. The last time I cooked was a long time ago. The phone rang. Xia Qingyu thought it was her husband's call, and was full of anticipation. Unexpectedly, it was her mother calling. Xiaoyu, you haven't come home for dinner in a long time. Hearing her mother's kind voice, Xia Qingyu felt embarrassed. She looked at the food on the table. Today, I made a solemn promise to my husband to be a good wife. Look forward to your return and no longer wander outside. If her husband comes home, realizing people leave like cooling tea, how disappointing it must be. You can't leave. Xia Qingyu softened her tone. Mom, dinner is already prepared here tonight. So don't bother traveling back and forth. Wang Yun felt unhappy. It's like something within her control is derailing her anger. No matter how much he pleaded, he couldn't get his daughter to come home for dinner. Finally, she reluctantly hung up, insisting she come back tomorrow. Xia Mubai didn't think much of it. My sister is just sentimental and she just got sick, needing her care. After a few days, this little bit of gratitude will be used up. Xia Mubai's wife, however, listened from the side, her heart filled with fear. Mo Chuyan had heard Xia Mubai mention me a lot since marrying into the family. Even such great kindness would be badmouthed behind their backs. And herself, having married in solely because of her outstanding beauty, will inevitably face fading looks. When that time comes, will Xia Mubai kick her aside? Xia Mubai didn't expect that his words would slowly lead his marriage to ruin. In the future, Mo Chuyun would be like a mouse, constantly thinking about transferring assets. Xia Qingyu hung up, unaware of what was happening at her parents' home. The appearance of Xun Wanji made Xia Qingyu even more restless. The other party didn't say anything, and even her background was unfathomable. Coupled with her husband's late nights, she had a very real premonition. I'm going to divorce her soon and fly away with Xun Wanji. Just imagining that scene made Xia Qingyu's heart ache. The sky gradually darkened. Xia Qingyu waited, but her husband didn't appear. No one answered when she called. She stared blankly outside. The food on the table went from hot to cold. Xia Qingyu never waited for her husband to return. She had never felt so deeply the feeling of a family collapsing. Just when Xia Qingyu thought her husband wouldn't be back tonight, she heard the sound of a car outside the courtyard. I got out of the passenger seat. Team leader and Yang Chan, this couple, poured a lot of alcohol into me to get information about Xun Wanji from my mouth. Stepping into the living room, I loosened my tie and cuffs with one hand. Xia Qingyu transformed into a virtuous wife, helping me take off my coat. Honey, I'll go make you some hangover soup. You rest on the sofa for a while. No need to bother. I didn't look at her and continued toward the bedroom. The alcohol was taking effect. I wanted to sleep, but I'm a bit of a neat freak, so I had to take a shower first. Even though her husband was rejecting her, Xia Qingyu as a wife still had things she needed to do. As she carried a bowl of perfectly tempered hangover soup into the bedroom, she heard the sound of water from the attached bathroom. Xia Qingyu saw my phone on the bedside table. At this moment, Xia Qingyu had an urge to find out what was going on. The sound of water in the bathroom continued. After much consideration, she finally chose to peek at her husband's phone. She used her memory to quickly tap the screen and successfully unlock it. Opening the messaging app, she scanned it and didn't find Xun Wanji's account. Instead, there were some people she didn't recognize. Xia Qingyu frowned and opened one to check. The content was mostly about borrowing money. She opened the next one and it was still about borrowing money. Looking at this content, she felt sympathy. The gap between husband and wife was already so deep. Her husband would rather ask friends for help than mention it to her. The list was full of contacts. Xia Qingyu directly entered Shen Wanji in the search bar. The results showed, no such person found. Sometimes not having an answer is more worrying than having one. The ambiguous relationship between Shen Wanji and her husband seemed to be shrouded in an unclear fog. It can't be cut off, it can't be untangled. What kind of past do they have? She was thinking so hard that she didn't even hear the bathroom water stop. I opened the bathroom door. Xia Qingyu didn't even have time to put down the phone. She looked uneasy. I glanced over. What are you checking? Seeing if my late night was spent hooking up with some woman. Well, you guessed right. At worst, going to court would just mean leaving with nothing. You probably don't even care about the little money I have. Xia Qingyu was silent. Being caught red-handed peeking at privacy undoubtedly added fuel to the fire. She quickly changed the subject. Honey, has the company been short on funds lately? Why didn't you tell me? It's such a hassle to ask outsiders for help. I was too lazy to argue with her. I'd rather take out a loan than use Xia Qingyu's money. Those ingrates from the Xia family are just waiting for an excuse to bite me. Honey. I vaguely felt a soft, fragrant body pressing against me. You must fix your waist and go back to your room to sleep, promise me. I'm really sleepy, I'm dizzy and falling asleep, Xia Qingyu called out twice softly. There was no response, so she leaned on my broad chest. Those words I said tumbled in Xia Qingyu's heart. She subconsciously hugged her husband tightly. If there really was a woman stealing me from her side, she would go crazy. She had already lost me once. No matter what, she can't lose me a second time. What should she do to save her husband's heart? The origin of Shen Wanji and Lu Yuan, admitting to the angry words of cheating, is constantly stimulating Xia Qingyu. The good iceberg beauty has a tendency to become delicate and shy. She sticks to her husband's thin lips, slightly open, gently stroking his face with love, gradually downward, passing over the protruding Adam's apple, and then falling on the buttons of his pajamas. Her nimble hands trembled slightly. It had been too long since she had been intimate with her husband. Lu Yuan, whose head was heavy, heard someone whispering in his ear, calling him husband in his half-sleep. The whole person seems to be floating in the clouds, slowly opening his eyes. What comes into view is his wife's absolutely beautiful face dyed with blush. Husband, I love you. I must be having a dream within a dream. After some tossing and turning, both of them fell asleep drowsily, until the morning sun shone into the room. I woke up slowly. There was only me left in the bed, the headache from drinking. I braced myself to get up and remembered what happened last night, thinking it was a dream. But the messy bed was staring straight at me. It wasn't a dream. Crazy. Is she still the Xia Qingyu I know? Even when they were first married during their most loving period, she had never done such a thing. She was very conservative, but last night was very different. Just the kiss was so unbelievable. The wrinkled sheets silently recorded everything. The wife's overall performance these past few days is completely different from before. Xia Qingyu walked into the bedroom. She came to the bed and sat down. Her beautiful face was radiant. Husband, breakfast is ready. Ever since Xia Qingyu said she wanted a divorce, her feelings seemed to have changed completely. The last time I enjoyed this treatment, I can't even remember when it was. Why bother? I couldn't change it, I can't change it. Husband, now I understand. Wealth status, you are the most important thing to me. Losing you, all of this is meaningless. These years we have gone through thick and thin together. You are the only one who has always lived in my heart. Since I have not touched any of the red lines that cannot be crossed in marriage, why can't you give me a chance? Just for the sake of our several years of marriage, okay? Since you think my current diligence won't last long, let's make a bet. If I am indifferent to you in the future and fail to fulfill my duties as a wife, I don't need you to say it. I will sign the divorce agreement and no longer pester you. The wife's words were sincere. I leaned on the head of the bed and listened, and suddenly smiled inexplicably. Marriage is not just about two people, but about two families. The Xia family behind the scenes contributed to my quarrel with my wife. Xia Qingyu, are you not aware of it? Or are you selectively avoiding it? Interesting. Putting aside other things, Xia Mubai's reluctant apology that day, Wang Yun probably knows as well. As expected, a series of chain reactions are about to emerge. And his wife is so sure that she will stand against the Xia family for him. Will she? I can answer this question myself. No. I asked her with a meaningful smile on the corner of my mouth. Really? Xia Qingyu immediately responded. I have already seen a good show begin. The love and hate, gratitude and grudges between the two since they met will all come to an end in that good show. Xia Qingyu saw her husband's meaningful smile. His eyes seemed to be looking at herself, but also seemed to be looking at other people. Unfathomable. At the same time, she felt awe in her heart. Xia Qingyu wanted to stabilize her new family while placing these two families. Inevitably on the scales, she had to make a choice. That was the climax of the good show. I got out of bed. Xia Qingyu first helped me choose clothes from the closet, then changed the messy bedsheets. A proper, gentle and virtuous wife. Even though her husband made a concession, she felt very uneasy in her heart. Xia Qingyu suppressed this unease and took me to wash up. Those nimble hands gently fastened a belt for me. She suddenly thought of Wang Yun's instructions to Linghuan's housewife to go home tonight. Husband. Mom mentioned it several times, asking if I could go back to visit her. How about you come with me? I don't want to go. I didn't try to hide it. Xia Qingyu, hearing such straightforward words, looked a little gloomy, but it didn't really matter. Her parents' attitude toward her husband had already changed. All right, I'll make it up to you when I get back. I'm going back to see my parents tonight too. We'll all go back to our own homes. I said it casually as if I didn't really care. Xia Qingyu felt uncomfortable hearing this. She shouldn't have suggested going back to her parents' home when her relationship with her husband had only slightly improved. She could only change the subject and took out a bank card from the drawer. Honey, husband and wife should rely on each other. If you need money in the future, you must tell me. I felt the bank card in my hand. It was light, but it was buying my dignity. If I really used it, I would become a kept man, a good-for-nothing in the Xia family's eyes. Xia Qingyu kept repeating herself. She was really afraid that I would borrow money from Shenwanji. Once people owe each other something, things become complicated. That agreement was hope in Xia Qingyu's eyes, but a ticking time bomb in mine. The countdown has already started. Xia Qingyu personally drove me to work. As I was getting out of the car, a gentle kiss landed on my cheek. I'll bring you lunch at noon, honey. What do you want to eat? So you left. I didn't linger. I unfastened my seatbelt and got out of the car. Xia Qingyu watched my figure through the car window as I walked into the company. Now, even if she is willingly falling, she can leave easily. Is she changing things around? No. My husband has never gone against me. It's just that she doesn't have me in her heart anymore. Xia Qingyu is clear about this, and she can't blame anyone else. Husband, for everything. I will use the rest of my life to make it up to you. I love you. Only when she could no longer see her husband's figure did she drive away. Coffee shop. Two outstanding people were sitting opposite each other, but the atmosphere didn't seem relaxed. Shenwanji picked up her coffee and took a sip. You can ask anything you want. I won't hide anything. It's that same composure, as if she is my rightful wife. Xia Qingyu really doesn't like this feeling. You said that you and Lu Yuan are high school classmates who haven't seen each other in a long time. If you were normal high school classmates, you wouldn't go around his wife to meet him privately. Shenwanji's expression didn't change. It seemed that Xia Qingyu's deliberate emphasis on the wife identity didn't mean much to her. I didn't lie to you. Lu Yuan and I are indeed high school classmates but also childhood sweethearts. Xia Qingyu took a sip of coffee, and the extreme bitterness spread in her heart. She had imagined that Shenwanji and her husband had a romantic relationship, even if it was first love, but that didn't matter. She understood that her husband had truly loved her. But as a result, Shenwanji told her that she and her husband had grown up together since childhood. Childhood sweethearts. Whether it was sunny, rainy or summer, winter, they spent it all together. Only at this moment did Xia Qingyu understand Shenwanji, why she could be so calm when facing herself, Lu Yuan's wife. The time she and her husband had known each other was far less than her, this childhood sweetheart. Xia Qingyu asked the most important question. Do you still love him? Do you want to hear the truth or a lie? During this period, it was too easy to take her husband away from her. No matter what you have experienced before, no matter how admirable it is now, Lu Yuan is my husband. I am his wife. Xia Qingyu emphasized seemingly calmly. But in reality, The 2 marriage certificates at home were all she could rely on. Shen Wanji's expression didn't change. I love him, that's my business. You don't need to be so hostile towards me. There are already many things between Lu Yuan and me. That can't be discussed. Now my biggest wish is that he can be happy. Yesterday I went to Lu Yuan's office because she didn't have enough funds. If you, as his wife, could care more and lend her money earlier, what else could I do? I hope you understand this. If Lu Yuan wants to leave you, it's not that she is sorry to you, but that you have let him down. That's all I have to say. Xia Qingyu, if you can make Lu Yuan happy, show me. If you can't, then don't delay her any longer. This conversation. Seemingly, Xia Qingyu has a slight advantage as a wife, but in reality, she is utterly defeated. Because what Shen Wanji said made sense. If the 2 of them had managed this marriage well, what fear would there be of outsiders? As soon as the declaration of war was issued, Shen Wanji loved without reservation. If you can make her happy, then I bless you. If you can't, then hurry up and step aside. When Xia Qingyu personally said to her, I am her husband, Shen Wanji's face remained unchanged, but in reality, these words turned into the sharpest knife, cutting back and forth in her heart. I should have been her husband. She came first. Xia Qingyu will never know how much Shen Wanji envies her current identity, my wife. To be able to live together openly, share the same bed, and stay overnight often. After Shen Wanji finished speaking, she took the lead and left the coffee shop. Xia Qingyu sat upright for a long time. She seemed unable to refute Shen Wanji's words, not even a single sentence. The other party's love was vast and profound, breaking through all her defenses. But having been through a setback and recovered, Xia Qingyu is confident that she loves her husband more than Shen Wanji does at this moment. So what if they are childhood sweethearts? You 2 still didn't end up together. Lu Yuan's current wife is herself, not her. I am completely unaware of the conflict between Xia Qingyu and Shen Wanji. Today a business partner spoke in a roundabout way. Simply put, they were rushing to give money. Strange but not strange. I directly refused. It was almost noon. Chen Qingqing disobeyed the boss's orders yesterday. Afraid and dared not get food. Just as she was thinking about making up for her mistakes, the office door was pushed open. A cold and aloof ice beauty entered. However, when Xia Qingyu saw her husband, all that was left was tenderness. Chen Qingqing greeted her in a flustered manner and left in a hurry. In front of the boss's wife. The pressure was enormous, and she felt inexplicably guilty. The only one who could compete with her was probably that Miss Shen. Perhaps because of the agreement this morning, her husband still gave her face and had a meal. The anxiety in Xia Qingyu's heart dissipated a lot. I didn't even have to pick up food, my bowl was full. Husband, let's go to other cities together after this period, okay? A woman's heart is truly unpredictable. I can't guess my wife's intentions at all. Shen Wanji's pressure on her is really too great. So great that she wants to take her husband to a place without her and slowly repair their relationship. The dignified President Xia is finally willing to put down work. Xia Qingyu, I almost don't recognize you anymore. Xia Qingyu didn't care about her husband's sarcasm at all. Husband, you said you would give me a chance to correct my mistakes. In a while, let's go and see the great scenery of our country together. Promise me, okay? Face close. I refused without even thinking about it. Xia Qingyu sighed slightly as she looked at her husband's profile. Her plan had failed. Ko ta kong the luke now kung o ben kan chong de nan kan tua lin lak voi tam yin chi ko ta vio kung hoi han vi truok de kai chong muon ko kan. She didn't give birth to them. Otherwise, what could Shen Wanji do? If the child called out, Daddy, her husband would have to go home obediently. I thought my wife would go back after delivering the food. Who knew she would sit on the sofa, affectionately holding my arm, leaning on my shoulder for nearly an hour. Husband, you have to remember that I love you more than anyone else. What others can give you, I can also give you. Xia Qingyu leaned on my shoulder, softly saying this with a hint of pleading. Her arm also tightened more and more. These words had no effect on me. Regarding what you say, I used to believe it, but now I don't. It was about time, so President Xia quickly returned to her company. I pulled the arm that was holding me out of her embrace. Xia Qingyu thought about how she had to go home tonight and couldn't share the same bed with her husband, and she felt empty inside. But as soon as the eviction order was issued, she could only leave. Before leaving, She gave him a light kiss on the cheek just like this morning. I really think, did that fever burn out my wife's ice queen personality? Even when we were first married, she would only get up early and secretly kiss herself. Once there was a Cold War. She would go straight back to her parents' home. Every time we made up, it was me who gave in. After turning off the lights, I would tentatively hold her in my arms, then kiss her, and then it would happen naturally. Xia Qingyu would get angry, but she never refused to be intimate with me. But everyone's love is always limited. In yet another argument, Xia Qingyu said coldly, "Let's sleep in separate rooms." I immediately left and went to sleep in the guest bedroom. After that, the gap between husband and wife gradually widened. During the day I have to go to work, and at night we sleep in separate rooms. The time I spend with Xia Qingyu is not even as good as Chen Qingqing. In the dead of night, Xia Qingyu misses him so much. But she refuses to admit her mistake. By the time she's willing to admit her mistake, what awaits her is a divorce agreement. People always regret the preciousness of the other person after losing them. I didn't expect Xia Qingyu to use these petty tricks to coax herself. But so what? The problem doesn't lie here at all. If you don't solve the root cause, temporary sweetness is ultimately unsustainable. The appointment was at 3 p.m. when my mother, Fong Lan, called. It's my turn to visit her this time. My mom is eager to have a grandson and is urging me to have children. Visiting is visiting, I answered the phone. Son, Wan Ji came to visit at noon today. So many years have passed in the blink of an eye. Fong Lan's words were filled with emotion. Mom can see that she hasn't had it so good all these years. I asked her to stay for lunch, and her eyes welled up when she came inside. I was silent. When they were little, both families would pick up the kids from kindergarten. Picking up one is picking up. Picking up two is picking up two. Whether it was Shun Wanji or me, we ate at each other's houses often. I just listened to my mom's reminiscences and didn't say anything. It wasn't until my father, Lu Feng, took the phone that he spoke up. Recently, your mom said she wanted to travel, and I'm planning to take her around to see the sights. Okay, I'll come home for dinner tonight. We'll talk about it tonight. I left work an hour early, after reading the last proposal Chen Qingqing submitted. My gaze lingered on this beautiful secretary. I had long discovered that Chen Qingqing had potential. It would be a waste for her to remain an assistant. Should I transfer her to another department for some training? Chen Qingqing felt the boss's focused gaze. Staring intently at herself, she felt a little flustered and her face turned slightly red. Could it be that the boss has a thing for black stockings? Today Chen Qingqing wore a pencil skirt with black stockings and high heels, adding a bit of maturity to her liveliness. Perhaps she didn't even realize her subconscious, after being left behind by me the other day, had been questioning her own charm. Her attire has also become more refined. Boss, have you stared enough? I'm utterly speechless. It's better to investigate further. Some things are best left unsaid. Let the operations department execute according to this plan. Okay. Chen Qingqing secretly glanced at me and then quickly lowered her eyes. She left the office with the proposal, her enchanting figure disappearing in the company. The female director of the operations department, who was close to her, asked her why her face was so red. The fire of gossip was burning fiercely. The boss has taken the bait. What nonsense are you talking about? Chen Qingqing felt her face burning hot. Humph, don't pretend. The way you looked at the boss last time, you could squeeze water out of your eyes. TSK, look at that outfit. Which man wouldn't be captivated by you? Taking Chen Qingqing out of the female director's office. When she returned to my office, it was already empty. Her agitated mood inexplicably dropped. Slowly closing the door. At this time I was already on the way home, and Xia Qingyu was also on the way home. It's not a case of husband and wife returning home together, but each returning to their own home. Although Xia Qingyu had already told me that she was going back to her parents' house tonight, she still sent a message to report, off work. Why hasn't your sister come back yet? Could it be that Lu Yuan is causing trouble again? Wang Yun felt upset about recent events. Xia Mubai comforted her from the side. Sister will definitely come back tonight. In sister's heart. How could that good for nothing compare to mommy? A dozen minutes later, Xia Qingyu drove back. The moment she stepped into the house, warmth and familiarity swept over her. No matter how tired she was after a day, she still longed to be reunited with her family. "Mom!" Xia Qingyu called out softly. Wang Yun was about to scold her for coming back so late, but seeing the tears in her daughter's eyes, she felt especially sorry for her. "Did you suffer any grievance? Was it because Yuan gave you a hard time when you were sick? It's all Mom's fault for being sick back then. That made you marry him for that little bit of money. It's different once he's gained power. A few $100,000 of life-saving money became that little bit of money in her mouth, completely forgetting the scene of begging everywhere, borrowing money everywhere, and being chased out by relatives like a plague. Listen to Mom, we won't put up with his uselessness. You've been married to him for so many years, and you don't even have a child. It seems he doesn't even have the most basic ability. Go back and get a divorce this time. Don't live like a widow." Xia Mubai's wife Emochuyan was right next to her. Localization made her completely see the true colors of the Xia family. This family, only if you have blood relations will they treat you as family. Utterly cold. Xia Qingyu listened to her mother's prejudiced words, slightly lost in thought. "Mom, I didn't marry Yuan because of money, it's because of liking, because of love. Moreover, he treats me very well, I haven't been wronged. I didn't want a child before. Yuan's body has no problems. You're still speaking up for her." Wang Yun was a little disappointed. "When I got home, it was late. I opened the car door and got out, looking up to see all the lights in the house off. The house next door actually had lights on. I was a little dazed. The house not far away is Shen Wanji's house. However, after her aunt took her away, Uncle Shen also moved away from this sad place. The Procter & Gamble cleaning ad implies that the two houses are now responding to each other with lights. It was as if time had turned back. I composed myself, thinking about the lights of the other house. After all, they are not lit for me. I stood quietly, and just as I got home, I heard the sound of the door opening and quickly got up. There was the aroma of food and the sound of the TV in the living room. Everything was so familiar. My parents had even more gray hair. Mom, what good food do we have tonight? My sister always asks this as soon as she gets home from school. Time passes and I'm already 27 or 28 years old, yet I'm still like this in front of my mother. Don't worry, it's all your favorite food. The whole family had dinner together happily. I took the initiative to clean up after dinner, went to the living room and sat on the sofa with my father to watch TV for a while. Feng Lan went to take a shower. Zhang Feng asked, "Have you and she decided to get a divorce?" Facing my father's inquiry, I was silent for a moment. She has become so different lately that I almost don't recognize her. But the most important problem has not been solved. In the end, we will get a divorce. I'm going out for a walk. If Mom looks for me, just tell her that. I got up. If I go out, night is falling and the cool breeze blowing from the river can no longer take away my worries like when I was young. I just quietly looked at the river surface reflecting some lights, strange and floating. I didn't know what I was thinking, until a voice that seemed to be from my memory sounded. "Yuan,